right, who wants to hear about high-octane adventures and the latest and greatest on the motor scene? It's time to rev it up with John and Jess on Joy 1340.
Welcome back to Rev It Up with John and Jess, coming at you on Joy 1340 AM and 98.7 FM.
All right, hey everybody. John here with Rev It Up and Motor Mania. We are in a different studio tonight. We're in a lower area
basement
down here. We're in the basement. They kicked us out. Justin didn't like it, so
instead of moving up in the world, we're moving down.
We're moving down. It's what we do. So, but everybody, thanks for listening. Thanks for joining in. Again, thanks to our great sponsors, O'Reilly's, Air Technologies, and now our new sponsor, Serpro. So we're doing that, and we've got a lot to talk about here because I've been wanting to talk to this guy for a while.
I know you have. This is right up your alley.
It's been bugging me, and everybody knows, we like everything, all things motors, but everybody knows I got a soft spot for old school monster trucks.
You do.
This guy here, I've heard about him a lot from Steve Elliott, and Steve Elliott's been down to his place, and this guy is I'm so jealous of him already now. But let's welcome to the show. Brian Rau has got a crazy monster truck collection and other automotive things and everything. So. Welcome to the show, Brian. How you doing?
Hi, Brian.
I'm good. How are you?
Good. We are good. And you are out of Port Clinton, Ohio. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Why don't you tell us about your collection? Because it's your personal collection, right?
It is my personal collection, yes. We are trying to open it up to the public. We have a 501c3 monster truck museum set up for this because too many people want to see what I have, and this would be a perfect way to do that.
Of course.
So basically, right now, I have 31 monster trucks, including 4 are the old tank trucks that used to race against the monster truck.
John's face is lit
some
up.
Some of these are sitting in this museum already. Some of them are in different stages of restoration, and some of them need to be restored. So they're not all perfect.
And this is, I've seen bits and pieces of pictures of it, and but it's just crazy to me that you have this, because some people grab one of the olden days and grab one restored or rebuild one, a tribute truck or whatnot. We've all seen it. But when I heard you were kind of buying these up over the years, and I couldn't see pictures, but then of course Steve Elliott invited me down, and we're so crazy busy up here in Wisconsin, what we do, but. This year, I'm definitely taking a trip down to see what you got going on, because how big is the building that this house is? I mean, this has got to be pretty big.
The building is 40,000 square feet.
That's a building.
It's a big building, and it sits on 25 acres of property.
Nice.
And so when did you buy the first one?
I bought the first truck probably 7 or 8 years ago, just because I've always been a fan of monster trucks since I was a kid, and the opportunity arose for me to get one. So I got it, and I tore it down and completely restored it. And before I was done with that, I had run across another one. And then the second one is kind of what did it for me. As it turns out, it's what's left of the old Michigan Ice Monster truck.
I was about to ask that question.
It's now a Dodge, but it was, the axles, the frame, the chassis, all that is what's left of the Michigan Ice Monster. Well, I had people from the United States, from Canada, wanting to come and see this truck, even though it's not the Michigan Ice Monster anymore. They just wanted to see it.
That's cool.
Yeah,
so this is what kind of got me in the idea of, people want to see these old trucks.
Oh, it's part of their childhood, part of their growing up, yeah.
That was
right.
So
next thing I know, I've got 31.
I was going to say, when you bought the first one, and maybe even
and what was the name of the first one? Sorry, I gotta know.
You just want me to leave the building?
I'm sorry, I apologize for that.
My first truck is not as old school, but it's still an old school truck. It was called Hog Wild, owned by Jim Mace, and he used to race against Ghost Rider, which is Larry Quick, and he raced quite a bit with this truck. And then it got sold to somebody else that used it just for a toy, and then I bought it from him. And had I known I was going to do the museum, I would have actually restored this back to the Hog Wild truck. But I was always a big fan of a truck called Orange Crush. So I built the truck to replicate the Orange Crush truck that I saw when I was a kid. So that truck is now Orange Crush.
Nice.
Okay, Jess, you can go. I'm sorry.
I don't know. I think he kind of answered it at the time. Go ahead, John.
All right, so you've got Hog Wild. Now, Hog Wild, was that little, what was the little Bronco? Is that the one?
No, this truck was a Chevy, just a Chevy fiberglass bodied truck.
Okay.
That truck, the little Bronco, I can't remember the name right off the top of my head, but I know somebody did just get that truck and is restoring that now. Yep,
I was watching that on Facebook also, and then going back to Michigan Ice Monster, that was an iconic square body Chevy back in the day, right?
Yes.
Okay, and that was the one with the big, I guess, abominable snowman coming off the side of the truck. It was just a really cool truck owned by a four-wheel drive and off-road center, right? Okay.
And I really wish it was still that way, but unfortunately it changed many times over the years, and it now is a Dodge truck body from the 80s, and it's named Misery, and it's got the Silver Lake sand dunes are painted on the side. There's even like little three-wheelers climbing the sand dunes, all airbrushed on the side of the truck. So, cool. Unfortunately, it is what it is now. And I've decided that, the history of that truck was it started as the Ice Monster, and it's worked its way up to where it is now. So I don't want to take away from that because it's just got a neat story to it.
Okay.
How does one find a monster truck for sale?
Well, the first one I just kind of stumbled across. It was pretty simple for that one. But then I actually found the other one on Craigslist. And it wasn't too far from me, and the guy delivered it to me, and so that's how that started. And then actually, once people found out I was buying these to restore them, I had people from all over telling me where these trucks were sitting and getting me the contact information.
Nice.
So I owe a lot of credit to everybody else who's helped me, because they've over the years they've helped me find them. But I've traveled to Georgia. The original Mad Dog truck was down in Georgia, and I traveled to Georgia to get that one.
You have the original Mad Dog Blazer?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I'm going to restore that one back to the Blazer.
And that was the original, I believe that truck, correct me if I'm wrong, that was the yellow one sponsored by Miller, right?
Well, at one point it was sponsored by Miller, yeah, but it's the square body truck, and it didn't have a roof on it, and it had the sprint car wing on the top.
Yep. That would have been the race version of it, Dan. Because I remember the first one was again these. The reason why I think this is so neat, and I think everybody needs to realize this, is these kids now that are growing up and watching monster trucks, they know the fiberglass bodies that are just trash and thrown out and do they change a body and do whatever. But these are the original steel trucks that were original trucks with doors and dashboards and headlights and everything. They were advertisement trucks. There were people from bumpers, Warren winches, and all that stuff, Firestone tires, and even Alpine stereos. They had stereos in them. I mean, people would have. I mean, there were show trucks put on everything. So they're great advertising. So to see you bringing that up for a collection, it's just crazy to me. And I've seen some other ones that you've had down there. I mean, I don't even know. I think it's Intimidator down there too. Intimidator down there, or there's another one, right?
Which one was that you're saying?
Intimidator? Do you have that one? Or
no, I don't have that. I have Just Showing Off, which was Pablo Hoffaker's original truck.
Okay.
And then I have a truck that was turned into a ride truck, but it's actually the original Devil's Dodge that was owned by Larry Birch that builds the remote cutoffs that shut the engines down.
Okay.
That was the chassis and everything is still there from when it was Devil's Dodge. But now it has a Chevy truck body on it, and it's a ride truck.
Nice.
Okay.
It's named Dirt Slinger. And then also, I do have a person who set up a Facebook page for me, Mike Comerford. He set this up because I just don't have time to do Facebook. So it's a Great Lakes Monster Truck Museum. If people wanted to take a look at that, it kind of shows some pictures of where we're at and what we've done so far.
Okay.
So it shows a lot of these trucks, and I'm trying to think of what else I got sitting in there. I've got a truck. It's now called the Pony Express, but at the time it was Larry Quick's Ghost Rider, and it's the truck that did the very first backflip.
Ooh.
Okay.
So I actually have that truck sitting in there, and Larry's going to work with me to get all of the correct information to display, like on a board. He said a lot of the information out there is incorrect of how that all happens. So
Okay.
he wants to work with me and get that all set up. And that's the truck that used to race against the Hog Wild truck. So those two are sitting side by side. And then that's about all the trucks I have there at the moment. I do have several other that we're trying to get there. I have the original Thunder Beast truck, which is in immaculate condition. I have a truck called Tall Cool One that needs to get there that is like mint.
Okay.
And let's see, I have a truck named Southern Storm that I'm still waiting to get in there as well. And those trucks are all really nice trucks.
Okay.
And they're all have a lot of history to those too as well.
I'm looking at one of the original Barefoot Tracks truck right now on your
Yes.
Facebook page. Now, is that that's one you have in the museum there?
That is the one that's sitting there. Yep. Now it's called the Top Gun truck. Yep.
Okay, so that was what.
And I would like to restore that truck back, but with the name has been sold and all of that, so I'm not sure if I will be able to get permission to get that back to Barefoot Tracks or not.
Yeah, because
I would like to do that.
that was originally one of Fred Schaefer's crew, right? That was the original Barefoot Tracks, and I think James Chitroner bought that out with Triple B now, right? Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that was it was iconic because back in the day, I think a lot of, and the kids don't even know it today, the listeners, but back in the day, they were looking for something to do, and I don't know who the first one was. I don't think Bob and I don't know if Bob Chandler and the guys on the crew from Bigfoot with Kramer was it, but people were taking the tank bodies off and putting the truck bodies on and blowing big blocks in it and crushing cars with them. It's pretty crazy.
Right. Yep. The first one to ever do it was called Virginia Beach Beast.
The
Chevy
Blazer. I
Blazer.
remember. Yep, I remember that now.
Now Willie Towns owned that, and I actually went down and bought that from Willie Towns. So I have the original Virginia Beach Beast, and then he had built a second one because he was so busy, and I also have that one.
Very cool. John is so jealous right now. It's funny to watch.
Is there I mean, I'm probably a little old, but can you adopt me or anything? Is that cool? I mean, it's cool. I mean, I'll do stuff. It's cool.
No reason to be jealous. You can come down and take a look, and you can even drive one if you want.
I was going to ask that.
I gotta go. I'm on my way.
I was going to ask two questions, Brian. Which one is your favorite?
That's a hard question. I don't know. I kind of like them all, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
It would take me a while to sit down and come up with a favorite.
That's fair. But you do drive them around your 25 acres. Is that what you just said? That's what I heard.
I'm working on that. We are actually working with a company now trying to get some materials to build some sort of a track because we want to put on old school side-by-side racing and old school car crushes. Occasionally we'll put on big events trying to get some other old school guys involved and get them here. That's our hopes. So we're working on a track or a place to drive them, and that's our hopes is to do that. So yeah, we plan on driving them as much as possible.
That's cool. Is it a family affair? Is your family involved in helping you out with this venture?
It is. Yeah. How all of this has worked, and so far this is about all that has been involved with this, is my wife, Jamie, and then my 9-year-old son, Brody. He had his first monster truck at about 3 or 4 years old. I got him an old mud truck.
That is so cool.
It was on a 5-ton chassis with rear steer, and
My
so that's
goodness.
his truck. And we're making that into a full, big monster truck for him. We're working on that one now. But so he actually has helped me paint the walls, and we all do it. All three of us are working on it. I've had a few offers from people to come and give me a hand, but it's kind of one of those things. When we get a free minute, we get up there and do some work on the building, and then we got to get back to real life and go to work.
Yeah, I was going to ask that too. If you guys have jobs outside of this, sounds like it.
Oh yeah. We own a towing service, so we tow cars. Been doing that for 30 years.
Okay.
And then my wife also owns a hair salon that's actually inside of our tow company. So we're pretty busy besides just this museum.
I'll say.
That's really great. Now, the other question I got for you is you've actually, I believe it was Steve who told me about it, but there's other things there besides that you collect besides the monster trucks, right? There's drag racing history and some other things here too, correct?
Yeah, I like anything motorsports, and something we're trying to do with this museum is we're trying to recreate the 80s and 90s because we enjoyed that time period.
I know where you're coming from.
So everything we're doing is we're trying to stick with that. So like I've got some old ATC 3-wheelers just so kids new kids can come in and see, young kids, I should say, can come in and actually see what that was, because they're not going to maybe ever see one. So we got a couple of those. We got an old Honda Odyssey from the 80s. We've got an old dragster. It actually came from a guy from Street Outlaws. His name's George Rumer, I believe is how you say it. He's been on the TV show, and I bought it from him. I don't believe he ever raced it though. So it's a it's a dragster. I've got a funny car body that I'm going to try to mock up and just make it look like a funny car. I got an old Rusty Wallace NASCAR car sitting in there, and a couple local racetrack cars, circle track, couple dirt track cars.
He's like, I just got a few things lying around.
People
it's all things I've collected just over the years. So
very cool,
awesome.
Very cool. What do you?
And then I also just picked up a drag bike that I'm working on, an old GS 1100 drag bike that's got like the big slick in the back. So that's going to just be on display, and we kind of just want young, old, anybody to walk in and see one thing that really catches their eye that isn't maybe monster trucks or isn't race cars. And we've got some old kiddie rides from the 80s, like the coin operated kiddie rides that I used to ride at the mall when I was a kid. And you got some old video games. Just we're trying to replicate, like I said, the 80s and 90s era.
I just want to live there.
Right. You're going to move down to Ohio.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly would live there, but my wife won't let me.
Oh man, I'd be there all the time.
Oh, yeah.
What is, two questions for you, I guess, two-part question. What do you feel is the most famous monster truck you have there, and what is your favorite?
He already answered the favorite question. He said he can't pick one.
Well, okay,
Well,
all right, I'll skip that. I'm sorry.
I know my wife's favorite, and this is,
There you go.
at this point, the most famous truck we probably have, but we have an old Gravedigger number 4.
Okay.
And the story behind this, the guy I bought it from bought it like 18 or 19 years ago from Dennis Anderson, had a garage sale, is the way he worded it, at his like Digger's Dungeon location now, or it might even been a station. And he bought this chassis, and it was the complete truck minus the drivetrain, motor and transmission, and they didn't sell it with the body. The body actually went on Gravedigger 5, and that's the one Pablo Hallfaker drove.
Yep.
So it became a truck known as Mr. Big, the Dodge truck, fiberglass body, it's got a blown injected big block Chrysler motor in it. So I have that one, and we are going to attempt to get a fiberglass body and put it back to somewhat of a Gravedigger, but I'm having a hard time with, nobody wants to talk to me about getting the body or allowing me to do that. But
yeah,
it is signed by, the frame is signed by Dennis Anderson, and he marked it, which number truck it was. So
that's very cool. Very cool.
That might be my favorite truck too, just because it is one of the most famous, and my favorite, I'd have to say though, the Virginia Beach Beast original truck, actually being able to go talk to Willie, who built the truck. I mean, I think that's probably my favorite truck, and then my wife's is the Gravedigger.
Yeah, I think the Virginia Beach Beast, that now that you brought that up, was remembering how many times that truck was in Pulling Power and 4-wheel and off-road and Peterson's and all that stuff over the years.
Oh, yeah.
That truck was so famous back in the day.
It was.
Yeah.
We have a lot of old memorabilia stuff, the old, like you're saying, the old posters and the old books. Some of my trucks I even have the old flyers that, like for Mad Dog, the Breen Boys Racing, they would send them out to promoters to try to get their trucks in the shows. I've actually got some of those where it's all typed out, and they sent pictures of their trucks. So just we have tons of memorabilia.
That is great. That is great.
So it's gonna be full of a lot of stuff. There's gonna be a lot to see once we get this put together.
I have a feeling too, once you put that stuff on Facebook, your page is gonna explode then too.
Yeah. I'm hoping that people would want to enjoy this. So.
Yeah, and I think it'd be a really big thing. I mean, and obviously the square footage you have is the double or triple the size of the other museum out there in Indiana. They got, because I think they only got about 4 or 5 trucks out in that one, right?
I've never been.
Yeah, I've never been there either. I really would like to check that out. If I ever get that way, I would for sure stop because I'd love to see it.
It's a really neat place, and I think that was Jeff Wildman Cook owned as I think that's a 501c3 also, but he did a really great job there also with that place. I mean, we've been down there a couple times as a kid. Well, at least I have. I know I've taken the kids down there, and we went to the ribbon cutting and stuff like that too. So it's it's really great that all you guys are doing this to bring the history of this back, because a lot of kids don't know how this all started. They were daily drivers. They're all daily drivers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. That's my main thing is to keep it alive. To keep the. I want everybody to remember it as much as possible because, the new trucks, like you said, they're just dune buggies that they want them to flip over and break apart.
Yep.
And the kids enjoy that. Where these trucks, it was devastating when one flipped over.
Yeah, it was. Jess and I got to be over the years. Obviously, we got to be good friends with the Kramers, and of course, Bob and Marilyn Chandler, Bigfoot down there. We've been there plenty of times with Bob and Ann Trent down there too. That run it, and we've had so many dinners and conversations. And I believe it was Julie and Jim Kramer's photo book, their photo album. And I believe that was the first time Jim Kramer ever flipped Bigfoot, and that was against his race with, everybody knows the famous race. It was between him and Texas Toy, where Jim Kramer actually he reworked the roll bar because he was nervous about racing because he was getting so crazy. And he added one roll bar piece to it. Do you remember that story at the kitchen table that night, Jess?
No.
And the roll bar, he wasn't sure if he wasn't sure about it. And Julie was in the stands. She was about 4th row up, I think it was.
Yeah.
And he raced Texas Toy, which was the big super cab Ford back in the mid-'80s. And I know, Brian, you know the race I'm talking about. And the truck, Jim went absolutely crazy like he used to. And the truck went end over end and landed on a roof. And if it wasn't for the bar that they put back in the pits before that truck left, there would be no more Jim Kramer right now. So she came up. There's pictures of her coming out of the stands.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I'd imagine so.
Yeah, she was flying out of stands. Yeah, and he came out. That is the same truck when you and I were down in the basement, the Jim Kramer Hall of Fame Museum.
Yeah, the museum.
Jim's a great guy, and he all the years of him being with Bob's partner and everything down there, he actually goes through and he doesn't have his big Jim Kramer Hall of Fame because that was a big part of his life. He's got a little area in his basement.
Like 5 pieces of it.
5 pieces, and he has the piece of the tailgate. I got to hold it in my hand and when that truck rolled over, and he's got that in the basement, so it's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the monster truck community and family of all these people that started, it's just great. I think it's just great, and guys like you and I have, we're one of millions that have it's touched our lives, and we can't get enough of it. It's great.
Right, and Brian, I'm sure
and you're bringing up Bigfoot. That is the one truck that I would love to have one for my museum, is a Bigfoot truck. I don't care if it was, I actually had tried talking to a couple guys from Bigfoot, because I'd like to even just have an old twisted up chassis or anything Bigfoot to sit in there would be fantastic. I've had no luck with that yet.
It's a hard thing to do, and I have no idea how I was in the right place at the right time. Back in the day when they would sell the fiberglass sides and stuff off the trucks at the open house, and I don't know how it happened, if it was a spoof one, but somebody was at the open house a couple years back and actually bought a side of Snakebite, the box side, and the door. And I was at a sale down in Missouri, I think it was, right? I think we got that from Brandon Von Elrod. And he told me he had a side of Snakebite and Bigfoot down there and a Summit Racing door. And I said, how did you get that? And he said he was friends of a friend that did it, and I have those hanging on my wall in my shop. So,
that's fantastic.
Yeah, so that was pretty neat because obviously I was there when Gene Patterson back in the day when he first started Snakebite. So yeah, the Bigfoot icon that'd be pretty neat to have in your collection for sure.
Oh, I'd love to have one. Yeah, maybe someday.
Now, Brian, we're running out of time here. We got to say goodbye soon. But do you have an anticipated opening date? A rough. It can be really rough. Like, what's your goal for opening your museum to the public?
Well, we definitely are going to try to put on 1 or 2 shows this year, some sort of car crushes or something, because we're going to try to raise some money to put into the building because it does need a few things done to it. But as far as opening to the public to come in daily, we would love to see that happen sometime this summer.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Oh, that would be
was
fantastic.
a lot sooner than I was expecting.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be great, and we'll let you know our schedule too. I mean, I would love. I mean, you sent the invite out, so I'm going to hold you to that. So I want to come down and,
Sure.
I got, we got crews here too that would come down and do it. So, we'd love to help you come on down and set up, and even give you a little help around the building, whatever you need. So
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, feel free to give me a call anytime you'd like to check it out.
that would be great. So it would be, that would be great. So, well, I think we're running out of time here, but Brian, thanks for talking. I'll be in touch with you
you.
for sure, and we'll give everybody updates on all our pages between Rev It Up and Motor Mania, and we'll get it going right away.
For sure.
Sounds
Thanks for
good.
tuning in,
Thank
guys.
you.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks, Brian. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks again for all our sponsors.